I'd like to call the Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 Board of Works meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Matt Dragmeister.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't think he was paying attention. I thought I had him.
What is the Pledge of Allegiance? He says frog, not frog.
Member Romine will be joining us from Zoom, and she will join in at the time of the trash bid consideration. So Mr. Kosher and I will hold down the fort for the remaining part of it. That's okay with you.
We'll do our best.
Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will second that. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0. Chief Breton, swear in new officer.
We'll have to move that to the next meeting. Perf has not gotten back to us with the final paperwork.
Public comment. I do not have any public comment cards. Anybody via
Not yet.
Zoom? Clerk Treasurer, Parthune.
Okay. We have, we've got January 20th civil city payroll in the amount of $504,417.44.
I move we approve the civil city payroll.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
We have a fire specialty pay per the CBA for 2022 attendance in the amount of $1,420.30.
I move we approve the fire special pay.
Second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
We have civil city payroll for February 3rd, 2023 in the amount of $463,710.03.
Move we approve the civil city payroll.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
And I did want to note, you might have, in your packet, you might have received the entries transferred to fund. That shows all of the appropriations, where it's coming from, where it's going to. Amber sent it this time, so I know Annette had a question for me, but that's how our accounting system pushes it from where it is to where it's going. We have civil city claims in the amount of $1,247,388.18.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
We have sewage claims in the amount of $1,323,984.71.
I move we approve the sewage claims.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
And then finally, we have water claims in the amount of $289,004.40.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
Thank you. Should I keep rolling?
Please. You're on a roll.
I'm asking for the board to consider, on an annual basis, we ask to renew our engagement letter with Baker Tilly for assistance with budget and other consulting services. So I'm asking the board to approve the Baker Tilly contract in front of you.
I move we approve the Baker Tilly contract.
Second. Discussion. And I'd like to say, you know, the legislature right now is considering lowering the tax caps from 1 to 0.9 over the next 4 years because of the concern of assessments that have gone up at 15% on average across the state. So no one has been able to tell us, what does that mean? How much of a loss to city revenue for 4 years? And that's where Baker Tilly, not only being at the State House, but also from a financial perspective, can calculate, we're preparing a budget for next year, but is there going to be a loss? How much of a loss? And this doesn't just affect LaPorte, it affects all communities. And if it passes and so forth, we have to be ready, so. And I know you had a comment.
Well, and it's, just to be clear, this is as needed, so, right?
As
it's only
needed.
we need the services.
Correct.
So there's no upfront, there's no anything, there's no fixed.
Correct,
assignment, it's just
correct,
we need the
as
services.
needed. And it's not just for budget, there's other consulting services that we utilize them for. So right now, we're completing the annual report. If we need help with anything there, that allows us to utilize their services. Last year, we reestablished the CCD rate. If we need to do things like that, they help us through the whole statutory process. So can say nothing but great thing. We work with Paige Sandstone. She's wonderful to work with. And I've learned a lot, so.
And does the payment come out of the individual department where their work might be done, or does it all come out of your?
It comes out of CDIT Consulting Services.
Further discussion? I do have a motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes 2-0.
Thank you. And then lastly, for me, we have a convenience fee change in utility billing that I'm asking for approval for from Invoice Cloud. We are currently still utilizing PayGov for those customers who have payments with credit card or ACH over, I wish E-Man was here because he would knock this out of the ballpark, payments over $150. Currently with Invoice Cloud, there's a cap on payments of $150, and then it's a per transaction fee of $395. This gets rid of that cap, and there is a $395 minimum, which has always been since we've had Invoice Cloud. You have to hit that minimum. If it goes over $3.95, there's a convenience fee of 2.65% for the transaction. So it's not in lieu of $3.95. There's a minimum charge of $3.95 for a credit card transaction. Anything over that would be 2.65%. And I did want to note this came about because currently the city pays for the convenience fee for customers who utilize their checking account to pay for their utility bill. Anyone that's auto debit, we pay the convenience fee for. There are 95 customers who use, this is 12 customers we're talking about. I can't split up the fees through Invoice Cloud. 12 customers utilize the IVR phone system, so we have to choose whether the city is paying for the fee or the resident is paying for the fee. And through the IVR phone system, they can't differentiate between an ACH payment and a credit card payment. So most of the people that call in for an IVR payment, a phone payment, pay by credit card, and the fee is passed along to the customer. There are 12 people that pay with their checking account that this fee would be passed on to.
So all we're talking about.
We're going to educate them to sign them up for auto debit so they don't have to pay any fees, and that would be helpful for everyone.
But this only, what you're saying, only affects 12 customers.
Well,
If,
no, but this situation where we have to split up who pays for the fees only affects 12 customers. So if a customer calls in to pay for a bill over $150, it's going to be a minimum of $395. If they don't hit the $395, instead of the $395, it'll be 2.65%.
okay.
And that's based on our volume here.
Just from kind of prior when we were talking about this, so if the 12, like they're over 150 or under?
It just
Separate issue,
it just depends on their bill for the month, yeah.
Because I was thinking like, well, gosh, if we hit a higher volume through Invoice Cloud, can this, I mean, it seems, it's kind of a lot.
There are
right?
some businesses that pay for their utility bill via credit card. It affects credit card customers. we want people to sign up for, we are trying to educate people to sign up for auto debit is what we're trying to do, so. And what we've always tried to do from the beginning.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Yeah.
I will second that. Further discussion. Are you comfortable?
It's no option. I mean, we kind of have to do it, right? So
Right.
it's,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Department head reports. We have a full agenda, so I'm going to ask to be very brief. If it doesn't have to do with improving the lives of residents, we'll hear about it next time. Mr. Schreiber, I think, has a meeting, so we'll let him go first and set the tone.
Appreciate that, and I'll go as quickly as I can. I do want to quickly thank our staff for the Winterfest activities of a couple weeks ago. I don't want to let that go by without thanking them. Many free events and all of our partners that we worked with on that. Do want to once again remind the community we have our youth sports registrations ongoing, and you want to get in there and get that done quickly for boys baseball, girls fast pitch softball, slow pitch softball, t-ball, and tennis. And then also, a quick reminder also, we have another great concert this weekend. National String Band, the 10 band playing. They are a Pearl Jam tribute to that, and those are just quick reminders for our community.
I didn't know if that was a start to a Pearl Jam.
Good
background.
I thought the kick bass was going to start coming in on me, but no. Thank you.
Thank you. Craig Phillips, Planning.
Just to keep it short, just one item to let the public know about this morning, and that is that we have a presentation of the parking study that was recently completed by our consultants, Walker Consultants out of Indianapolis, this evening at 5, immediately following the Traffic Commission meeting, which is at 5 o'clock here in this room.
And also, if you don't mind sharing briefly, the housing study, because Mr. Kosher just received a copy of it, and Ms. Romine will as well.
About that, yeah, we had a presentation last night at the City Council meeting of the recently completed housing study as well, which takes a look at housing from a comprehensive standpoint as far as needs and recommendations for housing for the community going forward. And that's going to be available both on the Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte's website as well as the city's website.
Thank you. Dan Drake, Code.
So residents will be able to pull that up off the website and take a look at the study?
Correct.
Eventually on ours, it's not yet, but I think it's available today on the Healthcare Foundation.
Okay.
Well, we're coming up on 400 violations right now, and we are working with Nick Owens in engineering to get the OpenGov set up for fines and reporting our violations right now.
Thank you, Dan.
Oh, sure.
Andrea Smith, HR.
Good morning, Board. I will be up shortly with a plethora of items for you.
Thank you. Jess Bruder, Communications. Which I know one will be to put the Healthcare Foundation housing study on,
Yes.
on the website.
Yes, that will be getting put up today. Fortunately, the Healthcare Foundation already linked it, so we can just directly link to their site. The document's pretty big, so I was concerned of whether it was going to be uploaded to our site. We've had some difficulty with that in the past, so I'll be brief. Got a couple of different things happening with the Civic Concert Series. Mark mentioned the Pearl Jam 10-band show that's coming up this weekend. We're doing a ticket giveaway for that. So we've got 2 groups of 4 floor tickets. That's a pretty good deal. The floor tickets are around a table, so those are usually, pretty pricey, and we're giving away basically a full table to 2 different groups of 4. All you have to do is go on our Facebook post and comment your favorite Pearl Jam song. We also just released a Sweetheart package yesterday for the Civic Concert Series, right in time for Valentine's Day. Includes 2 floor seats to Jump, their Van Halen tribute that shows on March 10th, as well as 2 floor seats to Grand Illusion, their Styx tribute that shows April 15th. $130 value for $75, and the sale ends on Valentine's Day. So if you haven't gotten a gift yet, now's your time.
Thank you. Mike Fraze, Streets.
Mild winter going on. We're out stump grinding, patching, and chrome rubber.
Thank you. Beth West, Transport. And Mike Frey's also coming through Friday night with jumper cables.
Just wanted to keep you updated on the propane switchover. Feral Gas has ordered all the parts for the propane. If you are familiar with behind our building, we have a big Co-Alliance propane tank that has to go away, and Feral Gas has to put one in. So he emailed me yesterday, and they won't have parts in probably till the end of February, beginning of March. Our idea is to make sure that switchover is seamless, so we do not interrupt service to our community. So I'll keep you posted.
And you don't see an issue with that?
Not right now, no. Feral Gas has promised us if for some reason they have a problem getting the tank put in, they're gonna actually bring a truck in and we'll fill our buses on site with one of their trucks, so we don't have to stop service.
Bert Cook, LEAP.
Yeah, good morning, Mayor and Board of Public Works. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. Just want to say thank you to the Mayor and Julie West. Last week, we had about 40 downtown businesses at A Whole World of Good, where we had a downtown roundtable, some great discussion about some of those issues that are facing our downtown businesses. A lot of talk about the truck traffic on Lincoln Way. And I'd also like to thank Randy Novak, our county councilman, who took the time to show up and listen to those businesses as well. It was great to see that engagement, and we appreciate the time, Mayor.
And of all the businesses downtown, it was 100% that were in support of allowing truck traffic to find an alternative route than Lincoln Way.
Correct. That was unanimous, and there was a very decisive message that we took away, which was that we've got to address that issue. And those businesses, I think, really hope that our county elected officials recognize the importance of that decision for our entire community.
And have the courage to do so.
Absolutely.
Also, on radio this morning, on the weekly update, they said to get Mr. Cook, they would like a Sonic downtown as well.
Plenty of suggestions over the last few days. I appreciate that.
Andy Snyder, Fire.
Just for the board's information and enter into the record, Cameron Watt accepted a position with the department. He will be starting with the Regional Academy on Monday, February 13th. Also, Patrick Roy accepted a position. He'll be starting with our department on February 27th. Cameron, that one has been open for almost a year, so we're glad to get him in here.
Paul Breton, Police.
Moving ahead with hiring, the one, of course, we couldn't do today has Academy. They offered, Merit Commission offered another officer a conditional. He's going through the perf now, and we have another one with Academy. That'll put us one that we have to send to Academy. If they offer him a position, of course, Academy's closed till end of the year now. Everybody's trying to get in. And the flock cameras are moving ahead. We got the, everything's to NDOT now, so we're about 8 weeks out.
And Representative Pressel passed a workforce safety bill yesterday that included speed cameras to slow people down in workforce or work site zones. So we'll have to see how that moves along.
Just need to expand that.
And any discussion of your new officer about the dog, K-9?
So far, it looks like he will be bringing that K-9.
Nick Otis, Legal.
Nothing from legal.
Jerry Jackson.
I've got
Water.
later business.
Tim.
Just wanted to make the public aware that maintenance crews are working on planning of projects that we do in-house that correlates with the paving list. That way we're not tearing up the roads after they're paved. And maintenance crew was really busy this weekend. We had 3 active main breaks. They all popped up Saturday night, Sunday, so the crew worked all day Sunday. And now they're addressing one on East Lincoln Way right now. So please be careful when you drive through that work site for me. That's all I have today.
Jamie Novak, I saved you last for engineering.
Nothing to report today.
Thank you. Department heads, any department heads that do not have business before the Board of Works can go have a great day. New business parking ticket appeal.
Good morning. So
I have, excuse me, I have one appeal this morning. It's ticket number 62255. They state that the ticket that was written is not for their car. Nothing about it matches, and that her car wasn't parked anywhere near there, and that the ticket was sent to her in a different name. And the office, I sent it to the officer, and his reply was that he had, he believes that he made a mistake and that he had issued multiple tickets. He believes this was an error and is asking the ticket to be voided. He apologizes.
So do I have a motion to void this ticket?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
right?
it was pretty straightforward.
Mistakes happen, so no issue there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Nick Otis, legal.
Thank you. First item for me today is a real estate purchase agreement for the city of LaPorte to purchase 39 acres from Rhoda Farms. This was passed by resolution last night at City Council. Two appraisers were appointed on this per statute, and the average of the two appraisals was $45,500, and the city has agreed to pay Rhoda Farms $35,000, so it's below the average of the two appraisals. This is next to our stormwater facility. I'll let maybe Jerry just briefly mention what his plans are with this parcel.
I'm sorry, I missed your.
The Rhoda Farms, the 1.39 acres there.
Yeah, that's we're going to use that to handle solids from our process, dewatering the solids that are discharged from the back truck and potentially from the street sweepers.
It kind of, if you looked at it on a map, it's almost like a peninsula into our stormwater facility, so it makes sense. We've already done one transaction with Rhoda Farms, and they're, if you'll recall, Mr. Kosher, city annexed about 220 acres of Rhoda Farms, and they've been actively marketing that, and it sounds like maybe putting a deal together right now to make that happen. So, ask for that approval.
So moved to approve the purchase.
Second, discussion?
The only thing I would say is when I was looking at it, I don't think there was a map, an image. So I don't know if possible, like, I mean, I don't need it now.
Yeah,
Now I get it what you're talking about, but just when it comes through on email, if we could just, on any kind of purchases, like, just to get a little map snapshot.
For sure, it's a little rectangular that sticks out of the bottom of our south property line, but I'll send you a map.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is easement for parking ingress and egress. City has worked with this Crossroad Holding LLC on this, and we recommend, again, this is not the sale, this is just simply an easement for this property owner to use some of our land for parking.
And again, who is this?
This would be the old, let me make sure I got this right. I believe this is where Packaging Logic used to be, is that correct?
Correct address for here, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second that. Discussion?
Well, just, so in looking at, and this has a map, so thank you. So is that area, are there home sites there? Is that, I was unclear on that.
Well, that area,
There are some homes.
generally in that area, that's a industrial area, but there's also homes in that area too, right? So it's just north of Lincoln Way?
So yeah, just like, I guess what is this whole area right here the easement that they're requesting? Or is it, because that's what it looks like there are lots
Those are
right here.
parking.
These right here?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, that's right, I couldn't tell. Okay. Okay.
I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Update police and fire collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you. So we'll do police here first. Mayor, if you wanted to maybe briefly touch on
Sure.
some of the change, I'm happy to as well, but it's something you've worked with the FOP on.
So as a part of this, this is the, and I was looking, because I think I left my sheet there, but working with police and fire on a few cleanup items. I'm going to ask Matt Dragmeister to come forward as well, to buy me some time while I get my information.
I got a quick question too. So within the two pieces that came through, the highlighted sections were the only changes to the agreement, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But this was, there were two items, or I should say 3 items, overall, the
Officer in charge.
officer in charge
Physical agility.
and
the
clothing allowance. So Matt, if you want to go through and give us a follow-up.
Good morning, Board. I'm Matthew Draymeister, FOP President for Local 54 Lodge. For the 2023 year negotiations, we worked with the mayor and the city, and we're able to talk about the physical agility adding a second tier. Tier 1 being the entrance standards with some alternatives to get some more cooperation. This is done twice a year and with a payout of $350 each successful passing. Then we added the second tier being the exit standards of the police academy. This being a little bit more difficult to pass, and that being the payout of $500 twice a year. We then spoke about officer in charge pay for the days that the captain isn't working. The sergeant, if left in charge, would be compensated for captain's pay, or if corporal is in charge, would be compensated captain's pay, but has to meet a minimum of 4 hours before this compensation is started.
And this is something that the fire currently has, and based on parity, make sure the police had it as well.
And then we talked about clothing and equipment allowance. I've been on for 15 years, and we've previously had clothing allowance prior to my career. So once I started, it was gone, and we no longer had it, and to match surrounding agencies and to be able to put that on our now hiring posters is huge. And now we can advertise that we have clothing allowance, because the clothing allowance in itself it's quite expensive, and the job is a physical job demanding. It's physically demanding, and you can rip your equipment. It gets worn easily, and so to keep up with that, you usually spend several hundred to $1,000 a year. So to have this is a great incentive. Do you want me to read it, or?
No.
Okay.
But I just wanted to add a very competitive clothing allowance.
It is a very competitive clothing allowance.
Just a couple comments on this. We've had the fitness bonus for both police and fire for a long time. Want to incentivize both police and fire to obviously be healthy because of their physical demands, but also it helps with health insurance too, right? If they're in shape, there's less likely to be both workers' comp and health insurance claims. And then without getting too political here, of course, we had a very tragic situation down in Memphis a couple weeks ago, and one of the criticisms that Memphis received was that they had, to try to attract more officers, lowered their standards for officers. And I think one of the things both police and mayor have worked on is trying to raise those standards. It's hard to attract officers, but you still want to have high expectations for the officers. So I don't know, Mayor, if you have any comment.
No, we did, and we had set some high standards, I think. We worked together not only with the fire department, but the police department to come up with those, and to sprint, to run, to do extra. I mean, we want to reward those that are pushing themselves, and I know they mentioned they wanted to see you come out and do the test with the police, so we look forward.
Doctor's excuse.
We have alternatives, sir.
Yeah.
As long as it's no impact.
But I think it's important.
Well, no, I agree, and I wondered, so currently, before pulling this in like the second tier level, like how many officers or fire department folks, like, how many are like participating in
Sure.
achieving these?
I can only speak on behalf of the police departments. We'd have on average between 9 to 12 cooperate or participate. And that's just for the police department. As far as the fire, you'd better.
We average between 30 to 35 participating in ours.
So this second tier, I mean, do you think it'll be, and I don't know if other departments have done something like this to create more incentives, does it?
The second tier was created so that it matched what they were doing before.
I mean, I guess I'm asking, do you think that will pull in like another few more officers that will?
Hope so.
No, it's hard to say
Hopefully,
for sure, but.
hopefully.
There's enough of an incentive now, you would believe. I mean, all the officers that are here are the ones that participate. And so hopefully we'll draw in additional officers, but also send a message that we expect you to be in shape, both fire and police, and be able to meet these standards.
Mr. Kozier, too, on the equipment, I think historically at one point, the equipment amount, wasn't that included in the pension? And then I think the state changed how that could be counted. So there was a shift away from that. Now
Several years ago, it was included in the pay. We used to get 2 checks a year to cover equipment.
So there's just been some changes, and now we're going back to a bigger equipment allowance.
And it's a new day in public safety. You know, we have to think outside the box, do different things, and raise the standards, so.
But I like the way it was written, where an officer can choose to some degree equipment, but it has to be approved, and then, of course, that equipment, if it's reimbursed, is owned, by the city.
Well, and I know we had some questions about that, that's right in the statute. Realistically, I don't think we're, like, if an officer leaves, we're gonna come back and say, hey, we want your pants back, or like a shirt back, but.
That was more about like equipment.
Yeah,
versus
maybe like a
clothing,
gun or,
right?
yeah.
The initial,
The
what
initial we
that
asked
clarifies,
back.
only the initial, not the, we don't want a sweaty T-shirt and, the other, and the part of their job, to just go to court. Detectives look the part, and we want to present well, and as I've told each of the chiefs, we expect our fire, our police to represent our city, and, not tears in their pants, look the part.
I'd use an example, when we used to get clothing allowance, I bought a new pair of pants that first night I wore them. I tore the knee out in a bar fight, basically, a ground fight. Well, you can ask the court to reimburse you through the person arrested, but that never happens. So those pants are what, $80 now? At that time, they were probably $65. That's one of the things, you just ate it and you went on.
So do I have a motion to approve? Can I approve the police and fire together?
I would do them separately, and then if we have any comments about fire, yep.
Do I have a motion to approve the police collective bargaining agreement?
So moved.
Second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0. Do I have a motion to approve the fire?
So moved.
I will second that. Any further discussion?
Just any question, it's very similar, obviously, so.
Yeah, it's just, as Officer Gragmeister mentioned, the one is already in place for the fire, so it's the other 2 options, and mirrors a little bit more of the second tiered level on the physical fitness part. And state statute, I know Attorney Otis mentioned, it does dictate that there is a minimum amount that must be paid to both police and fire. This is like 5 times that amount, so it's very attractive moving forward. And as far as our end of it, our turnout gear, that's a whole separate issue of clothing allowance. That's mandated by federal law, that the city is responsible for replacing that, because one of those sets can cost upwards of $4,000, just a coat and pants. So that's not even a part of this discussion.
And the fire union would have been here, but based on my delayed response to them, they're not here, so. But we knew it was going to happen, so. It's on you. It's on me. So I do have a motion and a second, correct?
We do.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Let Christmas begin for the fire and police. Watch those orders come in now.
Well, with that, Chief Breton, with that story, I thought maybe you're gonna start talking about incentives for, classes, for, getting on the ground, and,
It's all part of it, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Andrea Smith.
Good morning, board members. Today I have 5 job descriptions for you. The first 4 are new positions. It would be mental health professional with the police department, resource specialist with the police department, water quality supervisor. That is a bit of a revision, but we could not find the original job description, new job description, so Tim Warner and I worked together to craft a new one, along with the senior center assistant, which is a position that was put into the budget for 2023. And I worked with the park department on that one. I don't know if you want to do all the new positions first and the revisions.
But just to clarify, the resource specialist is not a new position, it's a new title.
And duties.
And duties, so it's pretty close to a new position. And that was changed in the salary ordinance, first reading last night.
Good. And this will be to respond to the public?
It'd be somebody that's going to be on the desk and take those calls, so when somebody calls in with a simple report, they're actually gonna be talking to someone. We did try the online reporting, it failed miserably. People like to talk to a person, and we thought this was the way to go. And they'll also help out with the records, answer the phone. We just tweaked a little bit of what, we used to have desk officers years ago, and this kind of mirrors that.
And the city of LaPorte believes that the partnership and collaboration are essential to achieving trust within the community, and this resource specialist will help with that.
But it's a currently employed individual.
Yes, who is leaving.
It's leaving.
Yes. And the position was revamped, retitled, to fit Chief Breton's needs more.
And so the mental health professional, as you've heard us talk about the fire going in what I call hospital at the home, with the paramedicine program, police are also heading in a different direction. We had, based on the calls for service this morning from last night, we did have another overdose, and we need to be able to address these issues of drugs, overdose in a different way, and want to thank also HealthLink for funding a majority of
They funded
this
the
position.
actual position itself. We had to go in front of the council for the benefit portion. So on the next council meeting, I will be in attendance along with Steve Butera and individuals from PNW who are helping us select candidates, and we all work together to craft the mental health professional for the police department. So we had a lot of specialists, LCSWs, who have the credentials to make sure that this position was done correctly, and it's very well needed in our community. And again, thanks to HealthLink for giving us the resources to pay for the position.
Questions? Would you,
No, I appreciate the detail, because that's what I wanted to, so HealthLink is covering the full cost of that? the mental
Correct.
health, okay.
Right, we are covering the benefit portion, which is, was not able to be covered through HealthLink in its entirety.
Okay.
we see this as an opportunity in the future, social work is going to be important with all the mental health issues we're facing, the overdoses and so forth.
And this was also presented first reading last night at the city council meeting.
So these descriptions, can we make a motion for all at one?
Yep.
Okay, I move we approve all these position descriptions and updates.
Second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
The last job description I have is not a new position. It's a revision, a replacement. It is a civic auditorium part-time laborer. This position was last updated in 2015. It's getting cumbersome because a lot of these positions have not been updated since 2004, and we're getting a lot of them. So this position is just brought up to 2023 standards, and worked with Brett Benversi on this. I gave you 2 copies. One is the track changes, so you can see which changes I made, and the other one is a clean copy. Pretty much the same language, except current language is used. Clear, concise.
And will help us with workers' comp situations. I mean, we want to make sure we're hiring the right people that can do the right.
Right, we have to make
functions
sure
and
that
have
they can fit
ability
the,
to
yeah, and can do the
climb
physical
with-
demands, and they can do the physical demands of the job.
Yes,
Go ahead.
good detail.
Motion.
So moved.
Second, discussion, I'd also like to mention the custodial could come along with a new police officer, because I know that's a position currently being held in Stark County. So, might want to put that out there.
Yes, sir.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0.
Thank you, Board. Next one I have is the HealthLink Memorandum of Understanding. This is HealthLink working with the police department to pay for the mental health professional position. This was reviewed by Nick Otis and approved by it. And these
Motion.
are the qualifications that we need to follow in order to keep and sustain this grant.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0.
My next one, C, S, and Z. This is an engagement letter. Nick Otis also reviewed this one to help assist us with some workers' compensation matters.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion? I'd like to say, from where we started 4 years ago, thank you to our department heads. They've done a fantastic job of bringing down the workman comp issues, and Andrea is just taking it to another level. And this is, from what I understand, between Mr. Otis and Ms. Smith, that this group right here is exactly who we need.
Mr. Otis and this group work very well together. They had nothing but high praise to say about each other.
So just, it's as-needed legal services regarding workman's comp.
Yep, because our firm doesn't handle workers' comp matters, and, you know, a lot of times, work comp is covered by insurance directly, but there's times where you just need some advice specific to a work comp claim.
Okay.
So I do have a motion
You do, yes.
and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome. I have one more, and then I'm done.
It's not done yet.
This is an offer of consulting services. This is from Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy, a well-known firm throughout Indiana. They work with a lot of municipalities. We are asking them to do a job classification and compensation study. At this point right now, we are not including the police and fire. However, I did have conversation with them that they can be included if the police and rank and file want to be included in the job classification and the salary study. Maybe not so much the job classification, but possibly the salary study you guys would be interested in. So if you are, please let me know. We plan to start this in March of 2023 if it is approved. There's a lot of things they're going to do, and it's going to be very comprehensive. We're going to review city compensation schedules, review and prepare job descriptions, which will help me tremendously. Job description point factoring, they're going to go through, and there will be a range of salaries for each job description, which is something we have talked about doing instead of lumping a 2% or a 3% across the board. It's actually going to be on the work, that's done for each person. And then conduct the salary study analysis and benefits survey. This is invaluable for any city. It has been a long time, I believe, at least 10 years since a salary study was done. And I'm not even sure. I work with AIM on the benefits survey, but it's not going to be as detailed as this. It will be an eye-opener for a lot of us.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, further discussion?
So is this a one-time, not one-time, but I mean, is this, this agreement will cover one evaluation?
One eval.
Not,
Yep.
this won't be an ongoing
No, we should be
process?
done, no, absolutely. I mean, they'll come back and also tweak the job descriptions if needed. They follow the FLSA standards, and some of our job descriptions probably need that tweaking.
Okay. And then it's also, you mentioned, I think, looking at like sort of annual review process.
Annual
and-
review
and
process.
More towards, my words will be more like merit-based.
Merit-based, exactly,
performance-based.
yes, yes, you will be able to see. And then it will also take out around similar cities that are our size, what they are making for these positions as well. So it's going to give you a good idea where we stand with our salaries.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Thank you.
Thank you, board members, thank you so much.
Oh, glad to see there's a cap in there too, that was, yeah.
Mike Frey, sale of excess property.
I can help you with this if you need me to.
It's got a bunch of equipment that we got in our backyard, pickups and the 2 electric cars. We like to get rid of them. They've been just sitting there taking up space, that they're not fixable.
I thought wastewater might want those. All right, anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Partone?
No, we prepared this memo, so it gives you the VIN numbers of each vehicle, and I think the intention was to scrap most of them. We talked to City Attorney Nick Otis, and this is the correct procedure to come in front of Board of Works to ask for approval.
Do I have a motion to approve? Second, discussion?
It was one of the more entertaining proposals that we get, like looking through some of the vehicles and,
Yeah.
you know, it's.
Further discussion?
1987 vehicles, yeah.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Jerry Jackson.
I've got 2 pay requests for Monroe Manor. This is the, 14 is the final pay request where they've compared actual quantities bid versus actual quantities built. So there's a bunch of small numbers if you look through it, subtract and add. And 14 then takes us to 99.5%, so about all we got left then is our retainage. So we're about there. Pay request number 13 is in the amount of $206,364.37. I guess we should do them one at a time. Do I request approval of pay request number 13?
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
99.9%.
99.5.
Okay. What- Either one is really good.
Yeah, we're about there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
On pay request number 14, that's the amount of $73,169.95. Just a few comments on the overall project. For change orders, we were 7.9% of the overall job, but that's $250,000. $180,000 of that went to extend sewer on 3rd Street, kind of using the contractor to do unrelated work. So really, our change order percentage was more about 3. So that was, part of that is because it was a reconstruction job. You know, we weren't running into old utilities, we were yanking them out and putting everything new. But it also is a good design. Kudos to Marsh, they did a nice job.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Jerry, how is I can't remember, but the process going inside the tanks I know we were slow-moving for a little bit, I can't think of it.
Our phosphate removal
Phosphate,
project, they're
yes.
getting real close. We've got the final little bit of that. We're gonna dewater a tank, install a mixer tomorrow, and we should be starting up here in the next couple weeks. So we're getting there. We're gonna get it going in time enough to be in compliant.
Good.
No service interruption at all during any of that window?
No. I had one more issue to bring up, just to inform the board. We had a gas leak at the treatment plant in our there's a 3-inch line that snakes through the treatment plant and serves all the buildings. And somewhere in that gas line, there was a leak, and it got into our duct system, our electrical duct system, which also connects all the buildings and goes right into the switch gear. So we had a very severe problem. Managed to isolate that piping where the gas leak's at, and NIPSCO had to shut off for a day, and they came back and shut us on the next day. So we're about 60% back restored. The gas, that 3-inch line was put in the 80s, it's steel, and we might be able to figure out where that leak occurs. I'm not quite sure how, but it seems to make the most sense to replace that gas service, as old as it is. And so it's an emergency. I've got H&G out there. They're gonna start work tomorrow to replace that gas service.
Were you pleased with NIPSCO's response?
They shut us off for a day, and I was a little upset about that, but I understand they have rules. They were out quickly, and they did spend some real time helping us try to find the leak. We did not find the leak, but they did spend some effort. Their guys on site were first rate.
Good.
Yep.
So basically, the replacement of that is gonna be just a whole new line set up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we're going to spend some money and actually put valves on it so that you can turn things off and isolate. They didn't do that back in the 80s. So it'll be a good improvement, and I think it's money well spent compared to trying to isolate it and figure out where the leak's at.
And just remember, Jerry wasn't there. He was still in high school in the 80s, so we can't blame him. Thank you.
So was the couple of those vehicles.
Yeah.
Craig Phillips.
Okay, I have 2 items, both related to the 39 North annexation. The first one is a contract with Charles Hendricks and Associates to develop the legal description for the annexation area. On the document, you can see the outline, the green shaded area on the copy that you received. It's a pretty complicated description that involves a lot of railroad rights-of-way along the edges and state highway rights-of-way and things like that. So there's a lot of work that goes into this. As a result of the size of this project and the work involved, they anticipate that that's going to be a total cost of $8,450 to draw up that legal description. It's a critical first step in the process. We have to have that information in order to proceed and to actually have a petition put out for people to sign for this. So that's the first of the 2 requests that I have. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Just a question on some of the, basically like the lines of the proposed area. Just looking at, there's some areas where it's very clear to see, I guess, I'm assuming home sites excluded. I just wondered what was the reasoning behind this particular shape?
Okay, so this shape is largely, not completely, but largely based on the 39 North Conservancy area boundaries. So areas that are not served by the 39 North Conservancy, with the exception of a few pieces of right-of-way that are important to us for future projects like trails, that sort of thing. Largely, this follows the 39 North Conservancy area, with the exception of an area that's south of Severs Road that's not in that.
Oh, okay.
But it's important to the annexation itself.
Thank you.
Further discussion? I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. It's been a long process. Thank you for your leadership.
A long process to go, too. The second of these requests is for the development of the fiscal plan. State statute requires that we develop a document that takes a look at the fiscal impacts of annexation on the city. This will take a detailed look at every city department and service and the financial impacts that are associated with the annexation of the proposed area. In addition, annexations of this type typically involve some revisions as the document is developed. We have basically 5 months to get the document put together. Again, it's a very large area. This annexation includes about 180 parcels, 175 to 180 parcels, 150 of which are taxable, so there's a lot of information that needs to be collected, and a lot of different conversations with various city officials to get the information we need to get this fiscal plan put together. So they estimate this is a not to exceed amount of $8,000 with the hourly rates that you have there as well. And this is with Baker Tilly. So happy to answer any questions you have on that.
As you can see, it's a long process for annexation. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Richards.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am presenting a grant agreement for the Salvation Army here in LaPorte for Community Development Block Grant COVID dollars.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. So the money here can only be used for COVID-related.
Right, to prepare for, respond to, or prevent COVID. And this is going for their food pantry. And the grant amount is $20,000.
And again, the dollars they're going to be using for is to do what at the?
To purchase the food.
Okay.
To stock their food pantry.
And was
Um,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Several of their clients or residents here in LaPorte are still coming down with COVID. It's not like it used to be, thank God. But many places, if they're working and they have to take off from work, they're not getting paid. So it's difficult for them to live off of no salary, no wages. So one of the first places they go to is the Salvation Army for their food pantry to help offset the loss of income in this way. They can get groceries.
So they can only deliver these the food products, if families have COVID. So somebody that is in need of help can't ask for the food
Correct.
donation.
They have to show a direct relationship to COVID.
Further discussion?
No, just if, and I know I can't remember the time now, I know I read the time frame in there.
It
that this is approved
starts
for, but
February 1st.
is it through the end of the year? Is that what I remember?
I'm sorry, it started January 19th and it goes until September 30th, which is the end of the federal fiscal year.
If for some reason they can't utilize the funds, like in that, legally required way, like, does it come back?
It stays in the COVID fund account.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0. Thank you,
Thank
Mary
you.
Ann. Jamie Novak? No, just T. Kyle Cashmere, Beechwood.
Good morning. I had submitted multiple quotes for some equipment needs we have at Beechwood, being fairway mower, rough mower, and aerator. We currently have 2 fairway mowers, 2010 with 3,500 hours on it, a 2013 Toro with 4,500 hours on it, and then 2 of our rough mowers have 4,600 and 5,600 hours. And then we do not have a current operating aerator. We hire that out for $4,000 a year just for greens. So our proposal is to purchase a new aerator, and the city would help us with the down payment, and then we would take that $4,000 that we usually outsource and then make payments on that. And the ability for us to have our own aerator, we could then aerate tees and fairways and greens on our own as needed, as opposed to just hire someone for $4,000 one day a year. So that'd be a huge upgrade for us. Fairway-wise, for reference, the one that we're proposing to buy is just under, it's $19,995. We looked into getting new cutting units for our 2010 mower, and that was $21,000 for just new cutting units. So we feel like this would be a better use of our money. The other reason looking at some used equipment is with the turnaround times, we would not be able to secure a new piece of equipment this year. Be waiting out until 2024. So we know that it is somewhat of a Band-Aid to get used. For reference also, the last pieces that we purchased, that Toro 2013, we purchased in 2018. It had about 2,000 hours on it. It currently has the 4,500, and it lasted us 5 seasons. So that's usually about the goal if you're going to go use, is if you can get it for 4 to 5 years, it'd be a win. So, and then the 3 different quotes would be a 2013 John Deere fairway mower, $19,995 plus transportation, a 2013 John Deere terrain cut rotary mower that is a rough mower for $14,995. And then Courtney, is the aerator in with this as well?
Yes, you
to
had
be
a,
approved?
you had a
Okay,
quote
so
for the
then
Toro and a John Deere.
Yeah, the John Deere aerator is $32,800.49.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, discussion?
So with that, just with the plan here, like, city puts up the down payment and then just kind of pay it off through what you would normally be kind of outsourcing?
Yeah, we'll transfer from our 315 professional services, $4,000 that we normally allocate for that service. We'll transfer it into a different line item, and then that'll come out annually until the aerator's paid off.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 2-0.
Thank you very much.
That should keep you up to snuff at this point, correct?
Right here. I'll be back next year.
So before we go to Jamie Novak, let's take a 5-minute break, if we can. I don't need a motion. And make sure Jess Romine's on, good to go, and that we're all set up for the trash bid recommendation. So we'll see you back here at 10:15-ish.
I was gonna ask him. Mayor, do you think we could leave?
Oh, absolutely.
You guys,
Really, guys? You're just gonna leave me?
It is exciting stuff.
Jess now. Can you guys hear me?
Jess, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I don't believe you can hear me.
Jess Romine.
I'm here, Mayor.
Okay, can we increase her volume? Jess,
Yes?
we're checking your
I'm
volume.
here. Okay.
Annette, can you hear her?
I can hear her on here.
Okay. And Jess, if she's going to vote, do we need to see her the entire time?
I would say for this item, yes, yeah, if she's gonna be here.
Jess, can you appear?
My video is on my end. Although I don't see myself either, but I've turned on video.
She can certainly participate, she just can't vote on anything.
Well, I think it's important that if we were to come to a decision today,
Can she check her video settings with the?
can you check your video?
There should be
My video's on.
There should be like an upwards arrow and make sure it's selected as, I'm guessing she has a setting in the bottom.
There we are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica.
Jess, you can hear us as well.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move forward now with the potential bid recommendation, the 2023 to 2026 waste contract, which I know there are a lot of questions. Mr. Minnick could not be here today, but he made a recommendation to the board. If you would like to briefly review that, and then what we're going to do is ask, and I guess we'll do it by alphabetical order, each of the presenters, each of the bids to come forward, companies, and explain their bid in detail where we can ask questions. So, Jamie Novak, and again, I would read through the recommendation.
Based on factors that we received at this time, Nick would recommend that the board awards the 2023 through 2026 contract for refuse and yard waste collection to Borden Waste Away Services.
Based on all the data and information that he shared with us, and he believes the lowest and most responsive bidder was Borden and Waste. We have to talk about street sweepings, but I think we need some clarity on the pricing, and that's why I think it'll be good to have both groups present to us. So we'll begin with Borden. Please come forward, state your name and address, and take your time, and please bear with us. We're going to take our time.
My name is Pat McCoy. I'm with Borden Waste Away Service. I want to thank you all for letting us get this far in the process. And there's a lot to go through here, so I will probably try to be a little bit brief, but I covered everything and be here for a couple hours, but.
And I would stick, at least right now, to the numbers, and then we can expand from there so that we understand, because, well, go ahead, and from your pricing perspective, let's start there.
Yeah. If I could maybe just brief comment overview a little bit is that this was a pretty complex bid for trash, one of the more complex ones that we see. Often you see a year one price, year two, year three, year four, and within 5 minutes you pretty much know who's the better number. There's a lot of options, even in just your base and your fuel adjustment, and then especially when it comes to alternates. So whenever there's an alternate, then you really kind of have to look at what is the alternate and what's the best deal, I guess, at the end of the day. So, again, a little bit of a overview of your base bid with, I think it's great that you're going to carted trash. That's an improvement, I think, for the city residents, everybody. Some people will not like that, but in general, you're going to get 80% or whatever improvement. People will appreciate having carts. Your base bid also allows for people to put out 3 large bags of yard waste. And to us, so we bid that. Our base bid was carted trash and manual pickup, for us, manual pickup of yard waste. So that's our base bid of the $13.69 and the $8.55. Our base bid was picking up the yard waste in a separate truck, taking it to the recycle facility. So again, because we knew we had an alternate opportunity, this is not our preferred or like our optimal number for you guys. But we bid it the way we thought was the best way to spec it for you.
So can I,
Sure.
And again, we're going to interrupt and.
Please.
So for refuse collection and disposal, it's $13.69, correct?
Correct.
What is 3A? Could you explain 3 option 1, which is the 15 cents?
Yeah, so, again, and the way you guys have this, the way that this is laid out is 3 separate items: trash or refuse,
Right.
yard waste, and street sweepings. Even though the yard waste is sort of included with pickup trash and yard waste in the same kind of deal, you have it itemized, you want the number for trash, you want the number for yard waste. So our alternate bid, 3A, is,
Option 1.
option 1 is an alternate where, it's fuel adjustments, all right. Where the refuse only, you take the $13.69 in your column B, and to add yard waste to this alternate, we're adding the 15 cents for basically the weight of the yard waste. So our first base bid, the $13.69, is just trash.
Okay.
So in our alternate, we're going to suggest you use 1 cart that you provide to all residents. And if you want to use that for trash and yard waste, fine. So we're adding 15 cents for the cost of adding yard waste to your trash program. But we're removing the entire manual pickup number of $8.55.
So what you're saying is, it's a 96, what type of container? What do you call that, a 96?
96-gallon cart.
Gallon cart. And people would pick, based on your best way to do it, people would pick up, or you would pick up yard waste and refuse at the same time?
In 1 cart.
In 1 cart. And the yard waste would have to be bagged?
Not necessarily. I mean, we always request that when you put garbage in a cart that it be bagged, but that would be best, yes.
But yard waste would also have to be bagged?
Well, it wouldn't have to be bagged, but, you kind of own your cart for 4 or 8 or 10 years, so it's just how messy you want your cart to be. But you don't really have to bag if you don't bag it, we'll still pick it up. But we would recommend to your residents that anything that goes in the trash cart be in a bag.
So then if we wanted yard waste and trash picked up together, it would be $13.84
That sounds right. I'm not.
with the 15 cents. So it would be $13.84, and that also includes the rental of the 96 gallon,
Includes the first cart, yes.
the first cart. Okay.
So as an add-on to that, we saw, and we talked to Nick, that one of his long-term plans is to have different size containers and have people pay different rates. For a bigger cart, that pay more, the people that have a smaller cart pay less. So our idea to this is, if residents, and very typical with a contract, if residents need a second cart, some people just need more service, is allow residents to pay more, pay their own fee for a second cart, be it a 96 for $8, a 65-gallon cart for $6 or a 48-gallon cart, really small cart, for $4. And the theory there is the people who need more service, be it trash and/or yard waste, pay for the extra. Another sort of high-level comment here is that, to provide what you have in your base bid is a 96-gallon cart plus 3 large bags of yard waste is kind of like providing 2 96-gallon carts worth of service to anybody who wants it. And that's a lot. That's above and beyond what we see as being standard in municipal solid waste contracts.
What
Also,
if people want to have their own container?
we'll have to talk through that. Typically, and I see when we spec, sorry, I keep doing that. When we spec the city, there are a lot of other brand carts in the city that probably are getting service today. We typically require people to use our own cart. I'll have to
Well,
talk
let's
to-
keep it simple. So you're recommending, hey, everybody uses your cart.
That's what we would recommend, and, we can.
That's part of the, using a board and cart is part of the package, right?
Well, yes, right, so.
It's like included in this, in these rates?
Right. So let's say you had a waste management cart, that you've had for 10 years, because they're out there. We're gonna deliver a board and cart to you, and if you want to use a second cart, you're really supposed to pay for it. So really, your waste management cart shouldn't be used anymore, is how we would recommend.
And so if people have their own trash cart, it goes by the wayside. I mean, I don't want to make this confusing for the residents. They may not like it at the start.
But one cart is so that, like, a resident doesn't have to pay to buy a new cart.
Right.
That's
Right, they get one part of, you're gonna pay for their first cart.
And how many people use 2 carts? I mean, how often do you see 2? I mean, I rarely, maybe I'm missing,
Right.
but most people get it in 1 cart.
Seems like to me, I mean, you do occasionally see, and I've done it too, where you've got your cart, and I happen to be, I mean, I have a waste management cart, like, still from, I don't even know when, but sometimes, extra stuff, is on the outside, but honestly, I think it's just more size or something that won't fit, or, somebody is.
And I just
breaking
put
down
that
a box,
in the truck and send it to your house late at night when you're sleeping.
Puts
Get
in
it
your
out
waste
of
man-
mine.
Puts it in your waste
That's how that
management
stuff
cart.
shows up, I didn't even realize it.
So, and then if they wanted a secondary cart, which would also be a 96-gallon, how much would that be a month
So we're
for
offering
the
actually-
resident?
We're offering actually 3 sizes, which is, again, not typical, but for a 96-gallon cart, a second cart, the resident would pay us directly $8 a month.
Yeah,
And we've got 2 smaller options that, again, when we come to, if we make it to negotiate our contract, we can negotiate some of those finer details. But that was our thought to, again, have the residents who use more service pay their fair share. I would say also that now it's very common for people to put yard waste in with their trash. The landfills will take it. There was a time back, maybe 15, 20 years ago, where they banned yard waste from the landfill. And then they realized that yard waste is actually kind of good. It helps generate the gases and juices that are actually good for decomposing trash. So they kind of reversed their ban, but, so it's probably common in almost every place people have cart, that if you have room and you put a bag of yard waste in your cart, the garbage guy's we're not gonna audit your trash. It's gonna get dumped with the trash and go to the landfill. But our real recommendation to you is, if you wanna have a yard waste program, collect it separately and recycle it. So that's just a recommendation. Again, it all has to do with economics. Certainly it has to do with sustainability, but to really encourage 3 bags of yard waste in with your trash, we just think is probably not best practice. So that's we'll
so
do
we
it.
have a recycling program now through the county.
You have your county program is called single stream recycling, where you put your containers and milk
Right.
jugs and things. Yard waste, you wouldn't want to collect that in that cart, but my suggestion would be that you, some way, either manually or carted, we gave a couple options here to use carts to collect yard waste. If we're doing it, so we've kind of moved away as much as possible from garbage guys getting out of their truck and throwing bags in trucks. We're trying to go to fully automated, where the driver drives by with his automatic robot arm. He picks up the cart, dumps it, and he's on to the next. And that's just, it helps with efficiency, with accidents and injuries, and generally cost. Generally, it's a more efficient cost.
So a resident would have what
It's
you're
okay to put-
suggesting.
It's okay to put, I mean, in this proposal, it's okay to put the yard waste into the cart.
Correct.
But we're not doing a good job of recycling,
Well, you're
saving the
right,
environment.
Right. If you encourage yard waste going with the trash, I would say that's not doing a good job of encouraging recycling.
So if we wanted to do the yard waste program, you see that as a 96-gallon container for refuse, and then a separate 96-gallon container for yard waste.
Correct.
Keeping
It's a
this
separate program.
as a
right?
separate program that the resident would pay separately for that second, or how does that look?
That's actually one of our alternate bids here, that would be an additional, so one of the alternates is yard waste carted, so it would be option 3 on that same page.
Every other week, yeah.
And there's also
3.
option 4, yard waste. Now, those are somewhat expensive programs, so I get it if you don't choose to go that direction.
How much would that be? Just, I would like for you to tell me how much versus,
Option
Because that figure there, that's,
3,
yeah, I was gonna say, is that in addition to, or?
yes. Boy, I'm having trouble reading my own numbers here. What's the?
6303, I guess yeah, I've got my reading glasses on.
Is
So
there
that,
an option?
So that option
Hold
four.
on, Jessica's got a question.
Is there an option to start with one program and move towards a separate yard waste program in the future?
Sure. Actually, another option that I believe when after the bids were delivered, we met with Nick, and he said that he's considering having the city actually, so that you guys currently pick up large yard waste, like large limbs with city employees, and he's considering just expanding his program to pick up yard waste.
that won't happen.
Okay.
I'm telling you, yeah, that's, our guys are too busy, they won't do that. I mean, we've got to have them focused, that's our street department. Yeah, that won't happen. But we could do, and how much is that for a resident if you did the yard waste program separately?
So again, I'm having trouble reading my copies of these numbers here, but it would be the 876 minus the numbers that we have in columns 3 and 4. So I think it ends up being close to $3 or $4 per house to do carted yard waste weekly, and $2.50 or $3 to do yard waste carted every other week.
Who decides that, the resident?
No, I mean, we would decide, you guys would decide
Okay.
that you want us to do option 3 or option 4 at those costs, and I'm not sure if Nick has that laid out in his recommendation anywhere.
I think from, like under, and this is, I'm not sure what page it is, but, so, option 4, it's like $6,303,091. So is that, would that be in addition to, or would that be the total, which would include refuse as well?
Well, I'm not sure I'm looking at what you're seeing there, but
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if it's like, I think I'm finding it right. I'm kind of looking at this page where it's breaking it down, like the different options with the, under that dark bar.
yeah,
Like, the option 1 up top is refuse with the yard waste in it, which is, I think, the base, kind of the base bit, right?
Right.
Refuse with yard waste in it. Although I think these numbers didn't quite I mean, I'm not sure if these are the right numbers that I'm looking at, but
can you tell on that top section, like row 1B, we've got, so in the cost per month column B is $855.
yes.
Then under 3 and 4, there's minuses. Is it minus 378?
It's hard to tell, like, it didn't, just because of spreadsheets, it didn't print out really clearly.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is.
So the price that, so again, this was a little bit complicated to get to how this works. So what you do is you provide your base bid and then a savings of doing your alternate. So it's the 855 minus, I think it's 376 and then 7. So it ends up being $3 or $4 for the carted weekly. Okay. Yeah, that would be easier to read. Actually, right, I should be able to read this one.
I'm gonna come back and get that one, so I don't.
It's upside down. Okay, so it is 855, and we have a minus 578 in the number 3 number. Do you see that?
Oh, yeah, okay.
So 855 was our price to pick up yard waste manually.
I don't think, I mean, personally, I won't speak for Ms. Romine or Mr. Kosher. I don't think we want to do that. We want to be as efficient as possible.
Well, I mean, in thinking in terms of what, you know, as a resident, I would say, I mean, I love the idea of this separate yard waste collection for, you know, environmental purposes, right, to recycle it in a
Yes.
separate facility. But it's difficult to justify, like, the kind of the additional cost of it, at least right now. Like, you know, I mean, I like the idea, but.
But how
I do
much
think
is
that
it?
I think most people, and even I mean, first of all, I guess, I didn't realize that. I thought we still could not put or should not put yard waste into our, so I never do. I always take it out to the county behind the fairgrounds or north of the fairgrounds. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but it was, so, I mean, I think most residents would say, we like the idea of being able to put it into the cart. All simple, right? Roll it out there, easy to do for, you know, I think you know, my mom could do that, right? But I think it's easier to do. I think the carts, the 96 gallon carts are, I think, large enough.
Yes.
You know, we got a family of 5. We rarely ever fill the cart.
But how much would it add if we went per resident for another 96 for the yard waste program?
Okay, so our option 3 is carted yard waste every other week, and it's 855 minus the 578, so it's 277 per house per month.
$2.77.
And that would be
On
a
top
separate,
of the on top of the 1384, correct?
on top, correct.
I'm not sure that's too expensive.
That's just under 17 bucks, $16.61.
So 250,000 roughly? Did I do that math right? 276
277 times your
277.
times 7,500, or 7,200, sorry,
7,200, 19,000.
times 12, that's monthly, correct?
$6 and,
Per month. It's $10.41 currently a month.
Okay, so actually, it's not, when I kind of went through the numbers, it looked to me like it was closer to like $1 million more. But it looks like
but
it's.
per resident.
Well, that's true, because it would just be in your waste charges, right? Yeah, I guess, I mean,
239,000
I
a
know
year
so
for year 1.
we're talking outside of the base bid though, right? What we're
Right,
talking
so
about
that
is
would
the
be
additional piece of it.
including 2 96-gallon containers.
Now, sorry. If it's a yard waste cart, what we would do is it would be a unique cart, so it would be just for yard waste. And it would get collected in a separate truck and taken to your recycling facility.
But that would be $16.61 total for 2 carts,
That sounds
yard
correct.
waste, and then refuse.
$277 per house plus the $13.84.
Yes.
That's
Perfect, so that's $16.61. So that's the base, if we wanted to do there. If not, we wanted to do, it'd be $13.84 and put 3 bags of yard waste in, and like Ms. Romine said, we could always add the program down the road. And then if we kept that program, you have an escalator in there. It goes to $14.02 plus the 15 cents, $14.35 plus 16 cents, and $14.70 plus 16 cents.
Yes. We have basically a 2.5% a year inflation number.
Questions on the pricing for Borden?
The only question I had was, with the $2.77, is that to pick up yard waste every other week?
Yes.
So, right, yeah.
Yes.
Our thought there was to coordinate with your current recycling program that's biweekly, is to try to organize where one week you put out the blue cart for your containers, and the other week you'd put out your brown cart or green cart, whatever, probably not green.
How many communities do a separate yard waste program?
You know, not very many. Trail Creek is one that has yard waste, and that's not very common.
Okay.
I don't think we have any others in our fairly decent list of municipalities.
So no other questions on the numbers. I have a question, so this is a pet peeve, is customer service. I don't want to be the trash customer service or pickup guy, to be honest. Someone has a problem. 7 o'clock at night they call, 10 o'clock in the morning, weekends, what happens?
Well,
The problem.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride in our customer support department. We've had our times when we've had trouble answering the phone on time, but we've geared up, and we currently have, I think, 10 full-time customer service reps in Elkhart. We've got 4 part-time reps, and customer support is, you know, if you're going to be a sustainable or a growing company, you got to have good customer support. So we take that very seriously, and I think we do a very good job of answering calls, concerns, customers. Municipal contracts are fairly straightforward, and we agree what our deal is, and then our job is to take all that off of your hands. You know, we don't want people, now you're gonna probably get calls. That's, you know, you're gonna get people that don't like the answer that they got. And it's usually the answer that we agree to what the deal is, and, you know, there are gonna be people that complain. That's just how it is.
But how often, what are your hours of availability that someone calls, they're going to get a live voice?
I wanna say 7:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time, and Saturday from 8 to noon.
And I can't remember, do you have GPS or somebody, if they're calling, you can track the truck and say, hey, we missed you, we forgot?
Yes, we have pretty high-tech stuff on our truck.
Okay.
We generally take pictures if something's not out. We do have GPS. Every customer service rep can see where the truck is at, you know, and where it was at 6 o'clock in the morning. Very common, people forget to put their trash out at 6 o'clock in the morning, and if we get started early, 6, 7, whatever time we can start, you know, our guys like to get out, and they like to be at your house, the first house on the route by whatever the earliest pickup time is. So pretty common for people to not get their trash out by 6 a.m. in the morning and think that we missed them when we actually were there, but
That happens, like, basically, like, on the truck, they can take a snapshot to say it's, you know, it's 6:05 and
Not
it
out.
wasn't out, that's the reason why I was missed. But and that's gonna happen, right? I'm sure, I know I've done it. In that scenario, then, is there like, well, then you can come by and pick that up, you know, next day?
we generally ask, the customer, is it okay if we just get you next week and just put out extra, and we'll take it? Even though we really shouldn't have to do that, we generally say, Mr. Kosher, could we just come by next week and get everything? And again, 90% of people are okay with that answer. We will often do a one-time freebie, and there is also a callback charge. If you really need it dumped today, you got a big party going on or some reason you need your trash dumped, we will come back, but generally there's a charge. If it was your fault, we'll charge you something to run back charge.
So one of the things we'll talk with the other bidder is about exemptions, our concerns with exemptions. Do you have any exemptions you haven't shared that we can expect if you were to get the bid?
No.
Nothing. So,
One thing we asked Nick is, I think in your specs, you have a start time of 7 a.m., and not in our bid anywhere, but as just a courtesy or as a request. If we could start at 6, that'd be better for us. So those are kind of things that we would negotiate with you guys after this meeting, if we're selected, but nothing in terms of exceptions or conditions to our bid.
and then where do your trucks go after they pick up all the refuse?
Generally to a landfill. We would certainly entertain taking our waste to the local transfer station. You know, we're competing with them on this bid, so we haven't really negotiated a rate for that as of today. But we have a great relationship with Waste Management. We respect them and work with them. We're probably their biggest customer in northern Indiana. And we're building our own transfer station.
Say that again?
I think we're probably their biggest customer in northern Indiana.
For the transfer station?
Well, for their landfill that was open in Elkhart County, it just closed. But again, we respect them and we have a good working relationship with them. So if we can work out a good rate for us to take your waste to their transfer station, that would be ideal, is to,
Where does our waste go? What landfill?
that would be a question for them.
Right now?
Yeah,
They probably know.
okay.
That's where you dump it at the transfer station and they take it from there.
We would also, otherwise we would take it to either Berrien County landfill in Michigan or Prairie View in St. Joe County would be the probably other two options for, if we were going to take it directly from here to a landfill.
The landfill in Elkhart off of 20 just closed? Is that what you're talking about?
The waste management landfill, Earth Movers, on County Road 26, just closed this like a month ago.
When you say the one in Michigan, there's one just north of LaPorte
Berrien
County.
Springs.
Is that?
Berrien County?
Yeah, okay.
Does every trash company take their product to a landfill? Does it end up at a landfill no matter who you are?
Trash, yes. Well, it might end up at an incinerator possibly. But I would say generally speaking, it goes to a landfill or an incinerator. And Indianapolis has a big incinerator where they actually burn your trash and try to create energy, electricity.
And then with the recycling, with China really increasing I guess lowering their limits of what they're taking, where does your recycling go?
So we have a recycling facility that we take things that you put out in your blue carts.
Yes.
We do the St. Joe County program, as well as subscription contracts and some municipal recycling. And so we have a recycling facility that we sort everything, paper, cardboard, milk jugs, plastics, and then we market it and sell that to the mills that turn it back into new stuff again, or recycled stuff again.
If the contract was decided today or within a week, how does the March 1st, and I understand that it's been tight, but how does the March 1st deadline, are you prepared to move forward March 1st? And be as honest, we put it out there, so I just would want to know the truth.
So luckily, Elkhart County is at a little bit of a drop because of the RV industry is a little bit slow. So we have the manpower. We have trucks lined up that we will be able to, so it won't be carted by March 1st. But I just talked to my cart vendor today, and he asked me if he had to do it by March 1st. He said he probably could, but that's a real challenge to.
It's for the carts. You're saying the
Carts,
carts?
yeah.
Okay, okay.
So I mean, we will be here on March 1st if that's what's necessary, and it'll be ugly. It'll be a little ugly.
And that's how we don't want to start a program off so you fall. So how long till the carts would be ready, available, that you could run the program like you need to?
April 1, it'd still be tight, and, a lot of it is communication. So what we like to do is work with you guys in your communications department and try to get the word out, radio, whatever means you have on your way of communicating with your residents, that change is coming. Going from non-carded to carded is sometimes a little rough. There's a lot of people are adverse to change. A year from now, 2 years from now, I'm going to say almost everybody's going to love it. It's going to be an improvement to your program to go carded. But the implementation is almost always a little rocky. Again, probably 80% of your people are going to love the new cart, and you're going to hear from the 20% who don't like change.
But the one thing I don't want to do is extend the date, say it's this date, then extend it. What is your drop dead date that carts, pickup, everything is good?
Seem like the ideal.
Well,
Ideally, here's the time when, hey, this
To
will.
make it off on the
everything
right
be
foot.
super
I told Mr. Kosher, I'm sensitive to trash because of what I've dealt with the last 4 years. I don't want to extend it and then extend it. If you say April 1st, I'm going to hold you to April 1st with carts, or say now.
So if you have to make me promise we'll have carts, I'd probably say May 1st, but I think I can do it by April 1st. I don't want to offend you or fail my promise April 1, but
When will you know that, of the carts? Because I think we have to roll out no matter who's decided on, roll out everything at once so it's professional, it looks good, and our residents understand this is a new program.
You know, if it's an option to opt for May 1st, that would be my preference.
Okay.
And if we have to show up early and do it manually like it is now, or, you know, without carts, we can do that too. Or if you can extend with, you know, the current provider for a month or two, in either case there, that would probably be a benefit to the
And a
program.
couple of the gents are here and have been very good, and I'm telling you, they've bent over backwards. I will say that Lakeshore has bent over backwards to help us, and weekends, and appreciate these two here. So I want to give them props as well.
March 1st would be not, unlikely to have carts, but you could do it manually and make it work. April 1st, pretty good shot, but May 1st is pretty solid.
May 1st would be very
Ready to
solid,
go.
yeah.
Very, okay.
Questions, Ms. Romine?
No, I think you and Mr. Kosher asked them all, so I'm good.
Well, we're going to ask the same questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, and I know you brought up, and customer service is obviously very important. So with the hours, so if someone has, you know, they're working all day, they get home, they realize, holy cow, I forgot, whatever, or I've got an issue with the trash, and they call, is it like, they leave a message, or is there any after-hours kind of way that, you know, and certainly don't expect everybody to staff people 24 hours a day, but by the next day, is there some ability then to like communicate whatever the problem might be with the customer?
We actually do have after hours, so if you call after our people in Elkhart shut down, we do have a service that takes your call. And if it sounds like an emergency, they'll call our supervisor. We have somebody on call 24/7. So if it's the mayor, for example, they would probably forward that to our operations supervisor, and we would probably call you back fairly quickly.
We want everybody treated as if they were the mayor.
I know. But again, most people,
People's garbage, is that right?
Yeah.
Get a pickup truck, yeah.
most people, their issue isn't necessarily an emergency, and they can generally wait until we get back to them. And we do have several options for you can leave a message when, you know, if we don't pick up in time. You can go to voicemail. We have website capabilities to email and get issues back and forth from customer support, so.
Thank you, Pat. Stick around. We may have more questions. I'm going to ask the gentleman from Waste Management to come up and state your name.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you, Board. Kirby Dunnigan, Waste Management. Thank you all for the consideration.
And I'm sorry, your name is?
Kirby Dunnigan with Waste Management.
So we might as well start, you know, to talk about here with the numbers as we compare. We saw that Borden was 1384, and that included 3 bags of yard waste plus their trash. Now, the way I read this, and this is where we could explain, or if you could explain, it's 1395, and yard waste is included. Can you explain how that, is it similar, 3 bags and?
Yep, so very similar. I mean, we just put it all as one route. We'll be collecting it just like they spoke about, with it mixed with garbage and yard waste on there, and then with any additional bags as well on the base bid, we would service it at the same time.
And that's okay for residents to just put the waste right in the cart?
Same thing. I mean, we do ask, just like everybody else, no leaves be put in, and also large branches, you know, be cut down and nothing sticking out. But besides that, the basic yard waste would go in there.
And not necessary to bag?
No, the bag can go in there. I mean, as long as it's in the container as well, we'll service it.
But they can put grass in there without being bagged?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you have a separate yard waste program?
No, we did not submit
doing it as a separate program. All of our bids, including our alternate bids, have it included just as one service. We want to try to, essentially for us, like you said, we are allowed to mix, but for us, putting another truck on the street, we want to keep it to where we're only bringing a truck through, one day on your street. The more that we can limit the trucks on the street, the safer it is for the community, the safer it is for everybody. So we want to keep it all as one route only.
And then from a recycling perspective, or what happens, you take, I assume, you take it to your transfer station, and then what happens from there?
Yeah, we take it to the transfer station, and then from the transfer station, Jace, correct me if I'm wrong, but we take it to Prairie View landfill from there ourselves.
Prairie View? I'm not familiar with Prairie View.
Oh, St. Joe County? It's,
Yeah, recycle, I thought you were talking about the yard waste and trash. Recycle comes to us and then goes to Recycle Works, but trash and yard waste comes to us and then goes to our landfill.
In,
The Prairie View landfill, right?
okay, Elkhart County. Now, is that closed? Is that the one we were talking about? Okay, that's still open.
Mayor, I believe Mr. Johnson has something to say.
Can y'all hear me all right?
Can you
Yes.
turn them up a
Kirby,
little
sorry
bit?
to-
And
sorry
if
to
you could
interrupt.
state your name for the
My name's
record?
Aaron Johnson. I'm the Area Vice President for Waste Management.
Go ahead, Aaron.
All right, I just want to clarify a few things. I got a little confused in the last presentation to figure out where we're going directionally. Look, we have 40 years of history here with the city of LaPorte, and I don't think you had any of the service complaints when we serviced you for the previous 40 years. I'd like to keep this really simple if we could. If we look at the base bid, which is what LaPorte's historically had with the introduction of a carded automated service. You have a 5-year option or a 7-year option, or I think it's 4 years and a 7-year option. You can see how aggressive we were in our bidding proposal. We bid $9.7 million. The next lowest bid was $12.4 million. We're $2.7 million cheaper, or 22% cheaper. That's how bad we wanted to get back in with the city of LaPorte. So we're the most economical option on the table for the base bid for what you currently have, what you expect, with the exception of introducing carts and automated service, which has a plethora of advantages.
So, Aaron, Aaron, if I can just stop for a minute, because if we look at resident, and first of all, we want to keep our option opens for new programs, for recycling options and so forth. But when I look at this, the base bid is $13.95 in year one, $14.51 in year two, $15.09 in year three, and $15.69, which equals $4,917,456, and Borden is roughly 200,000 or 150,000 less than that. Am I missing something?
Mayor, if I can, the
What
bid
was
opening that
released
we were at.
publicly was the carded base bid proposal. There was a 4-year and a 7-year. And on the 4-year, we were 5.197 million. Borden was 6.816 million. So we were 23% cheaper, or $1.7 million cheaper. The second option that was released publicly was the 7-year proposal, where we were 9.7 million. They were 12.48 million. We were $2.7 million cheaper.
Again.
So all we have to compare is what was released publicly.
Well, and again, we'll hold off on the 7-year for now, but the 4-year, unless our numbers are wrong, per resident is $13.95, correct or incorrect?
Now, I don't know if we're looking at, I mean, the base bid also has the price for the street sweeping all year too. That's included in that base bid for the total dollars. And the total dollar amount that we were giving at bid opening from Borden was the $6.8 million for their base bid, based on the trash and yard waste, and then the street sweeping involved in there as well.
And are
I
you
was under
saying
the
you're gonna pick,
impression that street sweepings were going to be separate.
Yeah, that was a disposal number. Somebody else does the street sweepings, and we provide a disposal number per ton for you to bring the street sweeping into our facility.
So the street sweepings is included in your bid
Yeah, I mean, it's, the base bid required that to be also included the total monthly amount.
of not just hauling them.
Yeah, that's everything. That's
Picking them
hauling
up.
and disposal and everything.
And where are you taking the street sweepings?
Well, this, do we know for sure where we're disposing of?
It'll go to Prairie View landfill in Wyatt, Indiana. It's about 25 miles east.
Yep,
Right
I
by
know where
Green.
Wyatt is. Okay, so, and I'm gonna ask Borden just a yes or no, that included picking up street sweepings as well, or just,
We didn't talk about that, but we have options for that as well.
so here's the confusion, I think, then, from our part. Waste Management is offering the pickup and transportation of the street sweepings as a part of this bid.
Yeah, as required by the base bid requirements.
And then board, so you would pick them up, not just transport them?
No, I'm sorry, the bid is not for us to like sweep the streets, but it's to collect the roll-off container and take it somewhere, and have it disposed of.
The exact same that you're offering. So,
So our number is based on all three of those combined. That was, like we said, red versus the 6.8 million at the opening. That included that.
but again, Borden, you're offering the same thing they are as regarding street sweeping.
Yes, and we think that that material can be recycled. So we have an alternate where you pay us to transfer it somewhere, and then we can.
Nick, I can't hear Mr. McCoy.
Okay, well, we'll hold that then for a second, but, and Mr. Kosher, please help me if I'm missing something. The bids are the same, but we've broken it down by resident.
Well,
Yeah, it was read as a total spend and not by resident at the opening, and those were the numbers of total spend per 4-year and 7-year that we were given.
and I think that's where, so, in looking at, the recommendation, which pulled out street sweepings as, potentially separate, even outside of a waste,
Right, because Mr. Minnick said, hey, we may have someone else do cheaper street sweeping, so. Continue if you have anything you want to add before.
No, I mean, I think that's it. That just, it includes all the total rates. I mean, we have alternate bids as well for the 4-year, 2 of them as well. If you want us to speak through those, we can with it as well, too.
I would like to add a little clarification, if I could. It's Aaron again, on some of your sustainability questions. So I think we're the only bidder that proposed a compressed natural gas fleet option. So we're going to reduce air emissions by 90% in the community of LaPorte. We have brand new trucks on order that'll be arriving in the next 60 days. And the landfill that we send this volume to, we're currently under construction building a renewable natural gas plant. So it's the most sustainable option available to LaPorte for organic material. So if the yard waste is commingled in the cart with the trash, which is what we proposed, and it's the residents have historically had, it'll go to a facility that captures the gas during the decomposition of all organic material. We capture the methane gas, we remove the carbon dioxide and some of the CO2s, and we produce a natural gas that is pipeline quality that we feed back into the pipeline. It's the most sustainable option available. If you send it to your facility like what the county operates, all that greenhouse gas escapes into the atmosphere. You're not capturing the gas that's produced, and we would be. So you would be also going with the most sustainable option that is available. The only option that would potentially be better would be anaerobic digestion, but that's about a $90 million investment to build a facility like that. So you would be beneficially reusing the gas production of the energy that's produced from the waste decomposing. And I just want to stress too that, we're a local company. We're ingrained into your community. We live, work, eat, shop in the LaPorte community. Our families live, eat, shop in your community as school teachers, as bank tellers. We participate in the Play for Jake. We sponsor the wrestling team, the basketball team, the baseball team, the football team. Like, we are not going to fail the city of LaPorte. We live and work and play in that city. and you're gonna go back to having the great service you expect that you used to have.
Well, again, I appreciate that. We also have local people from Borden that live here, do the same. But again, there's a cost difference that we're still back to that we need to have clarification for, because we're showing a base, is this considered column E?
Versus, yeah, two column E's.
Two column E's, which includes refuse collection, yard collection, and street sweeping collection.
The street sweeping is, that's not, I think that's where the confusion is. The street sweepings are not in these numbers.
But they are in waste management.
Well, I think that's where these are.
All in, we're 5.19.
Aaron, hold on 1 minute, please. So,
That's what, because see right here, this is the line for street sweeping, and there's nothing for either. So I think that's where it was broken out. Yeah.
Street sweeping at this time.
but, okay, on number 2, but on yard collection and disposal, waste management doesn't show anything, but it's also included in that price. So that's what I want to make sure. So if I looked over the 4 years for refuse, yard collection, and street sweeping, based on this comparison, I show waste management at $4,917,456
For 4 years?
for 4 years.
Including the street sweeping, because I show the 5,197,000.
Yeah, I think that's not, see, that's what I'm saying, that's not including.
Oh, not
street sweepings, yeah, right? Is that, I think that's where.
Well, that's where waste management also didn't price out yard collection and disposal separate. That included in their price, which would have been in the $13.95.
That includes, yes, commingled with it.
But it doesn't include street sweepings.
Street sweeping is a separate line item there.
Okay. So when we look at this, waste management is at $13.95. That includes a cart, correct? And Borden is at $13.69. Plus 15 cents to make it $13.84. So we have $13.95 and $13.84.
That's how I read it.
Is that correct?
Both including a cart for each resident, both including yard waste. The 1384 number includes the yard waste.
As well as for
Right.
waste
Yeah,
management.
so we're looking at, yeah, so that's where I think that's looking at apples to apples, right? 1384 to 1395.
Yes. So, customer service. What happens with customer service? Customer calls, whether it's Friday night, Monday during the day, what happens?
So very similar hours, as Borden talked about with having kind of the 8 to 5 and 8 to noon on there. But what's really great is with us is we're going to be transitioning, allowing customers to basically self-serve themselves. So they'll be able to go online, they'll be able to put their account in, and if they have a broken wheel, if they have a missed, service, anything like that, they're going to be able to put an order in for that we'll take care of within 24 hours of it coming in. So they'll have that for extra options as well on there. And then, for escalations beyond that, Chase has got his number. He'll be available here locally out of the Porte office if anything comes up as well, so.
But people that need to speak to a person, you know how
After
that
hours,
is.
yes, there is a voicemail set up to where,
Okay.
like I said, we're required to respond within 24 hours to it.
Ms. Romine, any questions?
I was wondering if Mr. Johnson knew why the city had switched from waste management in the past to the provider we currently have.
Which was before our administration.
Correct.
Ironically, it was a very similar situation. We were roughly 10 cents per home more expensive, and the switch was made over about a 10-cent gap in service price per home.
Got it.
Which times 7,200 times 4 years. How much was that? Also, you have City of LaPorte logo offerings,
So
which
that
I
is
noticed.
Yeah, but that is actually offered with the 7-year deal. If you want
Okay.
the 7-year,
Oh,
we would
the
do
custom
that.
label?
The custom label, yes. Yeah, with that. But they'll say we do
Yeah,
have.
because we can't those carts last for about 10 years. They have a 10-year lifetime guarantee on them. So for us to, those LaPorte specific carts, we wouldn't be able to redeploy those after 4 years. They basically, dead. No other city's gonna want them. So we did present a LaPorte option in the 7-year proposal, so we could customize the carts, the blue and the orange with the city logo on the side.
And also, I mean, we do have the alternative option that is actually $13.75, that's got a 20-cent discount on there, that we're offering. Basically, instead of the spring and fall cleanup like we have set now, where we're doing roll-offs in, we'll open up the transfer station for a month in the spring and a month in the fall, and allow residents to essentially bring their own heavy trash in instead of bringing it here to the town, and we'll dispose of it. And if we go with that option, it would move to $13.75 a home for the beginning. So you're basically getting a 20-cent discount each year on the per home price if we chose to do that alternative option.
Say that again? Sorry.
The whole thing?
No,
So it'd be per home, so the option is basically, right now, the base bid sets to where we have a spring and a fall cleanup, where we come and clean up here in town. But what we're proposing is that with the alternate option, we will open up our transfer station here locally, and we'll do it for a month of Saturdays, both in the spring and in the fall, and allow residents to come and dispose theirself of their own trash, as opposed to picking it up here. And if we do that option, then 20 cents less per home each year.
So it's month's worth of Saturdays, spring, fall, open up the transfer station, residents can bring their
heavy waste, their
call it, but whatever, you put out, that you put out right now, by the cart, right?
In lieu of.
I think in lieu of is what, yeah.
I think it's a better option to allow it to happen at street side in the neighborhoods. I think the reason that people don't take their large waste to the transfer station is because it's too heavy, or they don't have a vehicle or the opportunity to do that.
And our current price right now is for a resident, $10.41. That's the other part. I mean, if we look at this, and I can either ask, what's that, a 26% increase from where we are currently? Reasons, and I can ask both of you, you probably have similar answers. The cost is due to...
Yeah, I mean, just our cost of doing business. I mean, it's like he talked about earlier with drivers and wanting to move to automation. I mean, we're raising rates for drivers to have to keep drivers. Our cost to go up for tires, lubes. I mean, just like anybody in the industry right now, our cost, it's a lot harder to do business than it was, even 2 or 3 years ago right now for us.
How are you with the carts on March 1st?
We're good with service March 1st, but kind of same concern. Having carts ready by March 1st, brand new carts is probably not within our grasp to be able to do that.
When would you be able to have the carts that we're not extending further?
So right now, I mean, we're on about an 8-week turnaround anytime that we order new carts.
He set you up well for a May 1st.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's kind of where we were anyway, and we talked to Nick prior, to this, even of asking if that option of what it would look like, knowing that we'd be pushed on that timeline to put the carts out and get capital that quick in. So May 1st is where we're comfortable too. Like I said, we're ready to service day one. We've got new trucks ready to come in and service the city as well, like Aaron said, with the compressed natural gas as well, but we will need till May 1st to get the carts actually in.
So if May 1st is the deadline, how much, you don't need, neither of you need to know today. If I wanted to extend it by a couple weeks to solve this and get more information and dial it in, you'd still hit 2 weeks later, both of you. Is there either of you that can't hit May 1st if this is extended?
I think we're comfortable with it. That still gives us the 8 weeks that we would need.
We need about 8 weeks from the award to get the carts delivered.
So I mean,
But we
really,
can
it could go.
receive day one with the containers customers currently have at their home.
I'd say it's 4 to 8 weeks. We could possibly do it in 4, but 8 should be good.
But I wonder, I mean, I don't know what proportion, I mean, like, we have a cart. I know a lot of our neighbors have carts, so probably left over, and it's a mishmash, right? There are a variety of colors, variety of companies, but,
I just would like whoever is chosen to start fresh with a cart, new way. I don't want you to pick up any issues from the past 4 years. Ms. Romine, are you comfortable if I don't ask for a motion? Mr. Kosher, are you comfortable if I don't ask for a motion? And I'm just uncomfortable right now. I'm sorry?
I would prefer it. I would like to take a closer look at the numbers. I think that there's a lot to look at, especially with the sustainability that Mr. Johnson mentioned. If there really is only 11-cent difference per resident, I think we need to consider that, the emissions going into the environment in our city, and where our trash is going and how responsible we're being as a city.
I think all three of us can appreciate, we know that we want the deal done, and I know what it means. We've all been sitting in your seats at some portion of our lives in business, and Jess included, but we want to do it right. And Mr. McCoy, if you have, do you mind coming forward? Please.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. We said this wasn't going to be decided in 12 minutes. I think we've followed through with that.
I've learned more about trash in the last week than in the
Yes.
previous years of life. We've talked more trash. Maybe not more
That's
than you've
normal,
talked.
I was gonna say.
You've talked maybe a little more trash, but
There might have been a question that I was asked that I needed to respond to. I can't remember what Ms. Romine might have said, but three things I noted that I do think that you guys have the numbers right. The base bid was not our best bid. So looking at the base bid numbers compared to the public numbers that were presented, we were high, but on our alternate bid, we should be the clear low bidder.
is that without the streets, you're saying without the street sweepings?
Without the street sweepings. And street sweepings, I'm not sure I understand all the numbers, so I mean, you don't need to decide street sweepings today, I don't think, or in 2 weeks.
No, well, we could maybe in 2 weeks. Street sweeping, because it had piled up previous administration, it's important to me to make sure we never sit on a pile of street sweepings again. So it is gonna be, whether it's waste, whether it's Borden, or whether it's somebody else that just gets the street sweepings, those are all the options.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I understand anyone else's bid for street sweepings. I know our bid, and we had an alternate to, our base bid was to take your street sweepings to a landfill, and we pay the disposal costs. That was part of our base bid. Again, the way your bid sheets are laid out, A times B times C, you gotta do the math, and I'm not sure that we're both apples to apples on how we did that, but we had an alternate that we take your street sweepings to our excavation company that we just acquired about a year ago, and we think we can turn that, we can add dirt and add sand and actually make that back into a fill that can be used, not for residential, but IDEM has a way of handling street sweepings, and we just bought a excavation company a year ago. We think we can turn that back into something reusable. So that's one of our alternates. You know, I think Nick was concerned about displacing workers in the current situation, and I mean, if that happens, we'd hire them, but we're not here to battle for street sweepings. If we get it, we're happy to have it, and I think you should look at your options there and see what makes the most sense. We don't own a landfill anymore, so you know, that they have an advantage there. If they can take it to Prairie View for low or no cost, that's something Waste Management might be able to beat us on. That.
Okay.
But we think we can turn that back into dirt again, and IDEM says you can basically recycle that, and you can use it for like road construction fill.
Sure.
Or commercial areas, not residential.
Can we contact each of the companies separately, not in a public meeting, with questions independently of each other?
Yes, this is not a bid, this is a contract for services, so yes, you can do that.
So we will continue to hopefully have a date set very soon, in February. Comments from members?
Mayor, I think, Jessica, I thought, did you have a question? I thought that when Mr. McCoy was in the, like, did you have a question to ask that we held off?
No, I think.
Jessica, do you have a question to
What
ask that we held?
what I was originally going to start talking about was, or asking Mr. McCoy about, was whether or not they had the people power and the trucks available, and the mayor asked about that, and Mr. McCoy was able to respond.
Ms. Romine, Mr. Kosher, you're both comfortable not making a motion. We'll extend this. Mr. Minnick will be back. I think that's important. And we can clarify from here, this is our first time going through a trash bid. Now we see how important it is to be detailed. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, yes.
So if we, as it looks like we're going to put off this decision for at least a week.
A week or two, yes.
So can our current provider, I mean, knowing that we'll be pushing this back, do we have the ability to then continue having trash services consistently through one of these additional dates?
Well, the good news is, we've got, as I mentioned, a couple of the gents are here that have taken care of us, gone above and beyond. They've said that they will make sure we're taken care of. And RTS is having a meeting this afternoon to discuss my request to extend the contract by 30 to 60 days. We don't see a problem with it, but I'll know more after 2:30 today. And see the smiles on their face? They're men of their word so far. So that's the best answer I can give you. Not the good answer, but the best at this point. Are you still comfortable with that? You saw. Further questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Jess Romine? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your time.